Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of No Limits. My name is Scott Morgan of Motor City Mad Mouth. This is the night where we talk about CTE on the program and the network. And pleased to have Candy Ebling back. Thank you, Candy.
It's great to be here, Scott.
And then Jennifer Horspool. Welcome back, Jen.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
And last but not least, William.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
You ready for the first of a doubleheader with us, man? This is going to be wild sledding tonight, pun intended.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Although we'll get this one, we'll take care of our business there first. All right, we're going to talk about Joe Namath. You had a pretty wild story about him, but let me give the particulars on Joe Namath. Number one, he won Super Bowl III in 1969, but the amazing part about Broadway Joe is he never won a conference championship because this was the year before the AFL-NFL merger. The Jets shocked the Colts, and the Jets are the only team to win a Super Bowl without winning an AFL or AFC or NFC championship. The irony of the whole thing is the Baltimore Colts were coached by legendary coach Don Shula. Candy, what's your take about this?
Wow. I mean, it's pretty impressive. I didn't realize that they didn't have the, AFC and NFC champions back in the day. But being coached by Don Shula is that's a pretty nice.
Well, he's the one that lost the Super Bowl. Weed Eubank was the guy that won it. Go ahead.
Who are you talking to, me now, or who?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm just giving you some information.
What kind of information did
Well,
you?
the bottom line is this, okay, Mrs. Research. You don't need to research this one, Candy. The bottom line is Joe Namath never won a conference championship. He won the Super Bowl. It kind of reminds you of the World Series before they had the championship series, first round of it. And back then, if you had the best record in the league, you got to go to the Super Bowl.
So it kind of goes like to the same effect, like the Packers won 3 in a row, but they weren't Super Bowls back in the day because it was before they named them Super Bowls. So before they named them AFC champions or NFC champions, they won the whole kit and caboodle.
Right. This was a Super Bowl III is what they called it. All right. So anyways, that's the trivia behind it. Joe Namath never won a conference championship, but he has a Super Bowl ring in his pocket, and he's a Super Bowl champion who's known for the guarantee. Now, that's our version of the whole thing. Jennifer and Will have a different story about Broadway Joe, which connects directly to what they're talking about and what they've been speaking along. But now they get a segment to talk about Broadway Joe. Jen, start off.
Well, I don't know what I'm starting off. It's William's story about who is Joe Namath to you, because we all know the name Joe Namath. He's a football great, but who he is to William is a hero for life. Why is that?
Then we'll segue over to William. Go ahead.
Well, it's the funny part is, man, I don't know where to start with this guy. Like, I never knew how he would come back to impact my life. And the funny part is, I remember him sitting on the sideline with a mink coat on. He was like the first of the flamboyant quarterbacks. But I remember him more so from this movie I watched on loop, had it on Betamax. This is how far this goes back. It was called CC Rider. He was riding motorcycles.
I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
CC Rider.
Well, you've been talking about it the last couple of weeks. What is it about Joe Namath that stood out in terms of how he got you involved in all of this?
Oh, man, I got a lot to say, but I just...
Well, say it.
Emotional? It's an emotional. All right, take your time.
I don't mean to try to be hard on you. Now is your time opportunity to talk about a Pro Football Hall of Famer, man. Start from the beginning. That's where everybody starts, right?
Well, I thought that that emotional part with him was over because, like, he's the guy that saved my life. Man, I'm sorry about this one, but
that's all right.
Oh no, emotions are great.
It's real, and it's all good.
Oh man, I apologize, man. When I first got help, I was dealing with the concussions, the CTE stuff, teammates dropping dead, doctors telling me there's no help for you, internet telling me the same thing. Boy, this guy shows up, with these videos out of nowhere. Man, guys, I apologize.
No, all good. Oh, good.
Knock it off.
You're pretty much living on your floor, right? At this point, when you find these videos, you have zero quality of life.
Yeah.
What's going on in your life right then?
Well, I given up. There was nothing else for me. I watching, like I said, watching my teammates die and watching everybody with the illnesses. I had them too. And I just gave up. There was, no doctors weren't helping. The Olympic team won't help. This random video shows up. It's Joe Namath talking about using hyperbaric oxygen to, like, oh man, kind of like reverse his symptoms.
His which symptoms? What kind
of? Yeah,
of
reverse his CT. So I apologize, guys. This is a rough
okay.
for me. I did not really. I thought I was done with the emotional part because this was going on like for like a year after I found treatment. And so every time I heard his name, I just lost it. So, man.
I mean, it's emotional when someone has that big of an impact in your life, especially when you were at such a low. The low that you were at is not even a regular low, and you were out of hope. You were out of hope. You're laying on the floor. What does that mean? You're laying on the floor. You moved your mattress from your bed to the middle of your apartment because your vertigo, your headaches, your depression, your confusion, your anxiety, everything is so bad. You're living on the floor with zero quality of life, zero hope. You come across these videos where Joe Namath is talking about the help that he's receiving for his own CTE symptoms.
Yeah. He put out these videos, and when I read them, I was a skeptic. I'll be honest, because I tried everything there was to try. I was treating my symptoms as I went, and so I went and tried this thing. I was like, I start remembering that guy from CC Rider. I'm like, how is CC Rider gonna help me? I wasn't even saying Joe Namath at first, but I said, but I have to try it. I have to try it. So I go in this thing, and when I try it, I was in that chamber for 1 hour, and it changed my life. It gave me life back. Like during that time, I was struggling with talking. I couldn't find words. I couldn't remember any damn thing. If you talk to anybody with concussions and CTE stuff, they'll tell you the same stuff over and over. It's like a printout of cookie cutter. It's the same stuff over and over and over. That's why I keep saying we keep seeing these same athletes going through the same stuff. It's the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he did is he used that hyperbaric oxygen to reverse the symptoms, and it worked for him. And so when I tried it, it worked for me. For me, it's a little bit different. Like he got permanent relief. Me, I still a little bit tired. Matter of fact, my machine is right behind me today. So I'm still kind of tied to that machine, but as long as I don't go like 30, 40 days without it, I'm okay. I have I have life back, have life back. And I'm not back living on that floor and just struggling and praying for death anymore, So that's the big thing. Matter of fact, I called his foundation, and I left them a message. And I guess he got the message because when I called back, they knew who I was. And he said, and I just said, just thank him for me. And it was like, well, what can he do to help? And I was like, nothing. He already did it. I know you guys probably heard me say this before, but I said, he already did it. Like, who the hell am I to ask him for anything else? But he didn't leave notes. I didn't get any of his notes. And that's the only thing I wish I had from him. But hopefully, maybe he'll come back and join the movement and help us save more lives, because he's responsible for saving so many lives now. Like, I've passed this information on, and I've passed it on. I have TikTok channels all dedicated only to that. Matter of fact, my whole day is consumed with TikTok and helping people find help now. And so he's the father of this thing. And I hope that he really understands that. I don't know if he does, but yeah.
So are you saying you actually talked to Joe Namath then, and he did get back to you?
Yeah, I call this foundation. I sent a message over there. Yeah. They asked me whatever I wanted to send it to him in writing, and I just didn't feel the need to need. I didn't need anything. I was just kind of happy to be breathing again and to see colors and just being able to smile and see the beauty in life. I realized I hadn't seen the beauty in anything in a long time. And like I said, I'm watching these other athletes go through this stuff. It's the same thing over and over. Like, it's the hurt and the pain coming from the families and the people they push away from them. It's the same thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I do plan on reaching out to him soon and see if he'll come team up with us, because this is his movement. This is not mine. Anybody who comes to me and thanks me, I said, I don't take the credit. I said, this is Joe Namath. This is not me. Yeah, he's the
Great
man.
story. I'm glad that's
Yeah.
a really good story. I'm inspired about him, and you in the hyperbaric chamber. I know that in future episodes we're going to talk about the hyperbaric chamber, but the fact of the matter is he gave you a renewed sense to try to work through this whole ordeal. Says a lot. That's why I wanted to devote a segment to a guy who's known for what he's done on the field, but what he's done off the field as well to try to help people deal with such a situation like that. Great stuff. That's why hey, listen, if you're emotional about this, I don't care. That's what you're supposed to be. You're a human being. You're not a robot. So
Man,
if
I thought
you're,
I was all cried out. Man, I thought I was
that's
all
okay.
cried
It
out.
happened. It's okay. Hey, listen, I totally understand where you're coming from. That's why we'll let you just roll with it. Do what you have to do. Get it out, and you got your story, and that's what people when they go ahead and realize Will Person, they realize Will Person is a real person who has emotions, and that's what it's all about. So, with that said, we'll move on to our next segment. We're going to talk about the NHL mandating neck guards for all new players starting in the 2026-2027 season. Anyone who has played at least one NHL game before then will have the choice to opt out. Why am I incorporating this into what we're doing? Well, let's take this early. When you're bobsledding, you have a lot of different things about head movement, okay? And that's why when you have neck guards, tell me where you think. Thanks, Rob Moroska. Appreciate it. He's my co-host on 108 Pitches Baseball Talk. So when you talk about neck guards, how do you think that you could relate those to movement on bobsleds or anything related to a head injury?
Well, I know that they got the neck guards, and I'm just not sure. I'm not a skeptic. Anybody trying to do something different that's going to help, I'm behind them 100% because that's the only reason I'm still out here talking about it, is to make some change and help these athletes. But like, I don't know how it's going to help with the vibration. Like when it's shaking your brain like this, I don't understand how that's going to help. I know it would help maybe with the side to side, some of that stuff.
Right.
But some of us, like most of us, we big guys, man. Like I raced at 220. Like I'm a big guy. Like I fit perfectly in a sled. I had no movement left. I'm stuck like this. So I wasn't moving around like a lot of people, unless I was in Altenburg, Germany, where there's a one turn like this. I think it's turn 12 or 13. You're almost inverted. And the further you sit back on the sled, the more of the G-force and stuff you feel. So it's the whip effect. So I'm all the way on the back. So one time I cracked the helmet just going through that turn. And when it whipped back around, my mouth smacked on that helmet on the side of that sled. I think I was going to sleep, which is bad because once I get to the end, I had to pull those brakes. So yeah, I might have been out for a minute, but I know two of my guys cracked ribs on that track that week. So it was a brutal week. It was a brutal week.
Talk about the hairpin turns, because that is one of the things. I mean, you don't have it in your lawsuit against the Bobsled Federation, but you have mentioned, as one of the areas where bobsledding, the industry could calm down on some of the concussion and brain injuries that bobsledders get just by reducing the intensity of those hairpin turns. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, actually, that's where most of the problems happen, because there were some people, like I crashed 7 times over a 9-year career that I can remember, about 7. I know some people who crash 17 times a year. And I know some people who never crashed at all.
Mm-hmm.
We all have the same symptoms. Like, that's what. So in the beginning, I didn't know the G-forces were the part of it. I wasn't sure. But as I started to ask questions and start doing more research, and I started seeing people who never crashed have the same symptoms, I'm like, okay. Then I remember at the time we took the fighter pilots down the track. They pulled extreme G's, and then now they're rattled taking a trip down the bobsled track. So I understood. Things started coming together slowly. And then those articles began showing up, showing that the pilots have the same, military pilots have the same issues as us.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So it's I believe it's a little bit of everything. But that neck guard, I think it might help in some cases. I'm not sure if it'll help in all, but I really hope they try it and see. I really hope. Yeah. Anybody trying to do something positive that's going to help these guys.
Yeah, I mean, even just the prevention of even a little bit, I think, I don't know about inside the shaking baby syndrome, like you were talking about with the ice, when the ice is so bumpy and you just have that shaking baby syndrome inside. If it's absorbent, it might absorb some of the friction so that your brain doesn't have that. I don't know enough about it. I know some people have in your industry have been talking about different kinds of collars.
Yeah, I mean, you just made me strike something up. Actually, I'm the guy all the way in the back. So my head is actually pinned in the guy's back. So I got these handles. I'm pulling myself down in his back. Like my goal is to put a knot on his back. When he's done, he should have a goose egg back there. But guess what? I'm also gonna have a goose egg on my forehead. Because I mean, there was been times I've finished the race and my head is I'm bleeding right here. Now I got a big scab. I got a big scab right here. So certain helmets, they got to fit your head perfectly or the vibration. But so my head is, I'm tucked in there good. So my head is really not moving. So I just can't imagine that. I don't know. It's yeah. So that's not the part. I think that's getting the bobsled.
No, that's another thing.
Yeah.
But I think for NHL, like if we're to circle back to Scott's question, I mean, anything that's going to prevent your head. I mean, I know in car racing they did that years ago when Dale Earnhardt, you know,
right, the Hans device,
right. And so I think anytime you're helping to secure, especially like your head is a big weight on top of especially me, I have a little skinny neck, you know, but like that's a lot. So if you can absorb some of that absorption from anything, because there's so many fights in NHL, and in fact, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but William's talking to a guy that was a hockey player and is suffering severely with CTE symptoms.
Few hockey players. They were the first ones to reach out. They were the first ones to reach out to me when I started. When I filed the case and started talking publicly about it. Those guys were calling me in tears. These big guys I never met, and they were just thanking me for fighting back because they felt like they didn't have a voice and they didn't get heard and wasn't being heard.
You know, Jennifer,
I'm sorry.
That's okay, Jennifer. I'm glad how you brought the auto racing connection with Dale Earnhardt because you know at that time they didn't have the padded walls, so at his death opened up things. But more importantly, once he passed away, then that Hans device became more mandatory, and that's why we talk about neck guards because hockey's trying to do anything they can to be preventative. And I think the key word that has to be taken out of the neck guards is it's all preventative, and that's why they're mandating it within a couple of years to get everybody to get used to it. It almost kind of reminds me a little bit about guardian caps in the NFL in that sense as well. But I'm glad thanks for Jen for bringing that up, drawing the connection. I asked Mario Cristobal about guardian caps. He didn't know anything about them. Let that be with my medical people, which is fine. I don't care. I mean, he's a coach, not a medical guy, but it's all about preventative. That's the word that people need to take out of this whole thing is preventative.
Absolutely.
And again, guardian caps, Hans device in auto racing, that goes for anything you want to add, Chen, before we go to a station break?
Did you say padded walls? Do you mean for the race car drivers for when they hit the walls?
Yeah, they ended up having those walls where they ended up having those safety barriers is what they are.
That's interesting because I had a speed skater reach out to me. She's got those same type of head injuries because the speed skaters fall and they slide into hit the walls. And some of those walls, you might see a pad on it. Behind it is concrete. And that's where they're getting their concussions from. These are our American speed skaters. Yeah. Yeah. Matter of fact, they reached out to me for help as well. It's the same stuff over and over.
I mean, the more we're unraveling this over and over again, I'm starting to see the bigger picture. And it really is like, if you're going to get into sports, which everybody wants to do, sports have so many benefits to them, but we really got to really amplify. And this is Scott. Thank you for this platform to talk about this, to Scott and Candy, because the head, your brain is your most important organ for a quality of life. If you don't have your brain right, if you're suffering from brain injuries and you can't have regular conversations, we're going to go over some symptoms, but I mean, it takes a toll. And one of the points that William makes consistently is, what about the athlete? Yes, we love sports, but what about the athlete? Are we just throwing our athletes away for the love of the overall sport? We have to take care of our athletes and we have to take care of brains.
Yeah.
Well, I think, Jennifer, that's one of the reasons why, like Scott said, in the NFL, they keep going over their helmets and redesigning and and outlawing some of the old ones because they're not as protective. You hear, and like Scott said, now they have the Guardian cap that if players want to wear them, they can, and I think for the safety of the players, I'm glad that they're addressing it now. Obviously not to the extent that it's preventing it from happening completely, but it's a violent sport, so
change takes comes on slowly, right? Like nothing happens overnight, but conversations like this is the whole entire reason, is because I don't think, everyone thinks, like what William says all the time, I didn't think it would happen to me. And he said, if someone would have told me, oh, if you go into the sport of bobsledding, you might have a concussion, he's like, whatever. Like, talk about that, William, about where you were, what you thought, like what would be a proper warning for you. You were 28 years old. You were invincible.
Yeah, just the facts, the real facts. Like, people are actually committing suicide, even if they didn't know why, if they didn't know what CTE was. But tell us the truth. I found out later that our bobsled office, they couldn't find helmets that were safe but aerodynamic. And so they wanted to cancel the sport of skeleton for the 2002 Winter Olympics. But somehow they pulled some strings and I forgot what I don't know everything that they did, because all that stuff hasn't been revealed to me yet. But yeah, that was a big issue. Mm-hmm. But I just tell people, you just have to be cautious. Like, see this picture behind me right now? Mm-hmm. I got that picture before I found help. And it was to remind me that I'm cloudy because I was wearing a helmet and I damaged my head. And that's how I had little trinkets like that around me, just to remind me of why I'm like this today. I was definitely gone into, that dementia, and I don't know how far I would have gone without that chamber showing up. But I don't want anybody to have to live this life. This is a horrible life. When you have to lay on the floor and then your bed's in the living room and you can't get to the bathroom. Now my restroom is now a jar with a lid on it. Like, that's what you're going to be standing for. And the crazy part is every athlete I spoke to in my sport and every athlete that they spoke to, all dealing with the same stuff. And so at some point in time, we got to do better. We have to do better. And
well,
go ahead.
Well, the main thing is I see what you're talking about, and I face this every single day. Candy will be the first to tell you. With Alzheimer's, I feel that I know everything is slow, but I have to keep the as in momentum going. Mm-hmm. And if I don't, I'll get stale quick. Mm-hmm. So, again, I know what's going to ultimately happen to me, but I'm not dwelling on the negative, focusing on the positive. But I had no idea this was going to happen. And it's taken me a while to get back on the road, and I'm doing it in baby steps. I feel like I drive. I just have Candy along with me. And if I have to drive 5-10 minutes to the store, I can do it. But I'm happier when she's around me in case I get that headache, and she has the Tylenol right there as well. So everything is all slow, preventative. I never visualized that habit. I saw my Aunt Pearl die of Alzheimer's, and it took her a while to get to it. Now all I am is one of their younger cases being diagnosed in my early 60s, and that's surreal. And dementia, and I had another aunt who died of that. So I breathe everything you're saying. That's why we are doing a series, because I'm the one person on the planet that's living with it, and you guys contacted me, so I have the time and the resources to be able to devote to such a thing. And that's why.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. It's all good.
Did I explain the how I was getting lost in my neighborhood, what it looked like? Did I ever explain that to you?
Go ahead.
It's so ridiculous. Let me show you. This is how ridiculous it is. This represents the block I lived on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I live right here in the middle of this block. And so on some days I was so cloudy, I refused to drive my car. I didn't want to hurt anybody or myself. Right. So I started walking. I had a routine. I make a walk. I'll go get me a salad from Gelson's. So all I had to do was walk here, make that little left, make another left. Stores are right here, right?
Right.
So some days that's like, okay, what if I go the other way? What's on the other side? I couldn't figure it out. I would be in my apartment having a little meltdowns. Like, what the hell is over there?
Right.
It's the same thing, stupid. You just went the other way. You just made rights instead of lefts. I couldn't figure it out. That's just how brutal this stuff is. And, I don't want anybody living that life and being stuck where I was stuck.
Okay.
There's no guarantee that I might one day go backwards. I have no idea what this thing's going to take me one day. There is a chance.
Yeah,
but I'm
but the one
fighting
thing
it.
the one thing you're doing, which we're all trying to do on this show, and what we live it, is the fact of the matter is you're doing something about it. You're active in the process, and the longer you stay with it, like you and I are fighting a heavyweight fight that's going 15 rounds, and we're not looking to be a quick TKO, and that's
Yeah.
what we have to continue to do to maintain our existence, and that's why I look at a lot of the shows that I do here, but the one thing I can tell you, I look forward to every Wednesday night. This is one time where you can take that sense of humor of mine and throw it right out the window. There is no such thing called a sense of humor when we're talking about what we're doing on No Limits, dealing with your situation. It doesn't work on this show. And this is not a sense of humor, it's a sense of perspective. And that's what everybody should get out of the show.
Mhm.
And now I also have a sense that it's time for a station break. And when we come back, we're going to try to lighten things up with Jerry Maguire. We're going to talk about misdiagnosis. Candy will have her takeaways. Candy's going to take over when we hit Jerry Maguire, and we'll talk about the GoFundMe page. Go ahead, Candy.
South Florida Tribune published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the industry and how it has changed. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to advertise, you can call Scott 954-304-4941. If you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. But most importantly, if you see that red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to our channel yet. I don't know what you're waiting for. It's great content. You got to check us out. Click it, like us, and share us, and then turn your notifications on so you're notified every time we go live. We'd love to have you in our chat room too, because we love interacting with all of our fans and all of the good people out there. So please do so. One last thing, and I'm going to quick put it up there. We're talking about CTE. We're trying to raise money here, so help us, people. https://go fund me/3FF9C6E. We're trying to raise money so that we can do this free hyperbaric chamber sessions for people that are affected by CTE. We're trying to help him get there. Help as many people as we can. So please help us, help all of them. Back to the program.
All right, Candy. Well, we're going to talk about Jerry Maguire, so I'll let Candy lead the way on this.
So, William, tell us about, if anybody knows, show me the money. So show me how Jerry Maguire affected you.
Okay, there was one point where I was doing football movies. It's a crazy story. I always say, first of all, how much time do we have? Because I don't want to go over, because I guess it's a long story. How much time we got? You need 5 minutes? You need 2 minutes? What you need?
You can do 5. Go for
5.
Okay. I was doing a series of football movies. So I had like a 3 or 4 movie deal. I did Jerry Maguire first. Then Waterboy showed up, which I didn't go do. And then Any Given Sunday, which I went to the set and walked away because I was watching the movie start to get violent. It was violence start to show up. And so in Jerry Maguire, like when I got there, this guy showed up with Mark Ellis. He showed up. And as soon as I walked on the field, it was like more than 500 people there. He said, "Hey, stick right next to me." I don't know this guy. I'm like, okay, sure. So I stuck next to him. This other guy, Alan Graf, shows up. He used to play for USC. I think he used to block for O.J. Simpson, play pro, and does a lot of Hollywood stuff. He comes out with this megaphone. He's screaming at everybody. He said, "If you're like 150 pounds, you don't look like a pro football player. Get out of here right now. If you've never played pro football, get out of here right now. You're wasting my time." And so I wanted to leave, but that guy, the other guy, told me to stay there. So they break us up into positions. They put me with the defensive backs. And they was like, "You too fat, you get out of here, sideline, you extra, you too fat, you too skinny, get out." It was humiliating. It was the most humiliating thing I ever did. And so we get to the point where there's one guy, he says, "If you can't run 4 or 5 in the 40, you wasting my time. Get out of here now." The guy said, I can do it. He gets to the line. He takes about 4 steps. The guy stops to watch. He said, "When he gets done, tell him to get us out of here." It was that kind of thing. So when I actually ran the fastest time. In fact, out of all the people, I ran the fastest 40 time. So we get to the next thing. There's these 4 tackling drummies laying on the ground. So I had to run forward, back pedal, run forward, back pedal. The one guy went through it. He touched one bag. They kicked him out. When I went through it, I stepped on every damn bag to be stepped on. Anything that could be stepped on that I wasn't supposed to step on, I stepped on it. And that guy looked at me. He said, "You're exempt. You don't have to do anything else. You just sit right there." Everybody looked at me, if the looks could kill, I'd have been dead on the spot. Yeah, and so we got to the point where it becomes physical. Like they hired me just because they wanted me to put the uniforms on and run fast and making people. But there were some people they brought out there to do the hard hitting. And so we get to the very first scene they're doing. The guy asked me, he said, "How do I supposed to hit this guy?" This guy's a Hollywood stuntman. He said he rolls cars and jumps out of burning buildings. So he's doing 10 yards, goes across the middle, goes catch the ball, and the guy tackles him, right? So they do that. And he asked him, "How do we do it?" He said, "You can't fake football. You just have to hit him." So the guy does his route, catches the ball. The guy just hits him. He lays down, he falls down. And then they call cut. Everybody walks back to the huddle. That Hollywood stuntman still laying on the ground. And we went over and looked at him. He had like snot in his eyes. It was brutal. It was brutal. Yeah. And so the thing is, they promised everybody more money. They said, "The better you guys do, the more money we're going to give you." But they didn't start passing out that bonus money. So one day we're in the locker room. There are people on these sets always talking about strikes. So Cuba walks in. He hears somebody talking about strikes from the movie The Program, from a previous movie. So Cuba says, "Strike?" He said, "Entertainment is out. No, entertainment tonight is outside the locker room right now. Don't strike right now. You got us by the balls. Just don't do it now. I'll get you your money." So he left. These producers came in. Some other producers flew in. We stood in the locker room for hours. And they upgraded our money like they were supposed to do in the first place. And the rest was that, But wow. I'm going to give you another story. The other part of it is when you cross those, like I didn't really care. Like I didn't really want to cross that picket line. Like I didn't care about getting more. But I wasn't going to cross that picket line because in the next movie they did, Waterboy, one guy told on somebody talking about strike. So they fired this guy. And so they're both playing defense. So when they call the next play. So remember, he's on defense. They're action. So they're rolling. This guy gets up. Instead of him going this way, he runs behind the line and he just pummels this guy. He just knocks him unconscious. And then the director was like, "Great, that was a great hit." He said, "Hey, wait a minute. You're both on defense." And this guy was like, he's all kind of wobbly. And so he said, "Don't do that again." So then it happened again. They call hike. The guy runs down the back. He clobbers this guy again. Blam. He said, "Hey, why you do that again? We told you don't do it again." So I can't make this up. They actually took cardboard and they put it on this guy's helmet right here and taped it and say, "Don't look at him again." But that's the violence of these sports. So these people are out there getting pummeled. So when I actually got down to the set of Any Given Sunday, it was an Oliver Stone movie, and they told me what they wanted me to do. Now, I wasn't the guy who was going to be just running fast with a uniform on. And I left the set. I was like, I'm not doing that.
They wanted you to take the hits?
They wanted me to take some hits. I was like, I am not going to do that. I'll chase somebody. I'll dive over somebody, but I will not take those hits because my knees. I remember that scene in Jerry Maguire where he gets flipped at the end. Mm-hmm. We did that the first day, I think it was 37 times. It wasn't even close to what they wanted. The second day, we got it in 4 takes, and it wasn't even perfect, but they was like, "Well, we just going to deal with that." Wow. But that's the crazy. But the irony is, years later, after we finished that, I'm at the Olympic Training Center. This is my last year racing with the bobsled team. I started dreaming about Tom Cruise running out that tunnel. He had to run out that tunnel and deliver his lines to his client who's knocked out on his ground. And every night I started dreaming that. I was like, okay, I think that means I'm supposed to go back to LA, go back to Hollywood. And so after I left Team USA, that's what I did. But yeah, it was Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise brought me back. Yeah, great story. Yeah, great stuff. Okay, we'll talk about misdiagnosis. Take it from there.
Well, let's talk really, really quickly before we go to misdiagnosis. Well, misdiagnosis. So CTE is very often misdiagnosed as PTSD, bipolar syndrome, depression, anxiety. William said, William swears he was in dementia, but we were talking earlier about hockey, and this list is from a gentleman who is suffering severely from CTE symptoms from playing hockey. And he says this is not even a complete list, but I'm going to read you off these symptoms. And I know William had some of these. William didn't have anger, thank goodness. But this guy says quick temper, anger and rage so bad you're worried every time you leave the house, impulsivity, poor judgment, reclusiveness, like no social skills, staying away from everybody. And the reason we're going over these symptoms is so that people can start recognizing this in yourself or in your loved ones and start questioning, maybe I have a brain injury that I didn't even realize that I have. So reclusiveness, trouble concentrating, memory problems, trouble prioritizing, lack of motivation, lack of initiative, paranoia, feeling like people are always coming at you or staring at you or focused on you, being watched or followed, anxiety, unexplained localized pain in different parts of the body. That's fibromyalgia. That's a trauma condition. Brain and fogginess. It feels like your brain is numb. Depression, lack of empathy, ugly thoughts, verbal outbursts, apathy, mood swings, fatigue, irritability, lack of interest. And with William, oh gosh, there's even more: lack of energy, restless legs, ringing in ears, sound and light sensitivity, spaced out feelings and look, sensory overload, out of body feelings, feeling like I'm drunk or floating outside my body. I feel this 24/7. Hallucinations in the wintertime for some reason. When the sun goes down, it gets really bad. Or other times I might get sensory overload when the sun is up, from too much. So there's all kinds of things, and it's especially if the medications are not working.
Oh, yeah.
William, you want to kind of add to this or add your commentary to this list, or what things you experienced?
Well, my background was mental health. The first place I ever worked after I left college was it was the first mental health facility west of the Mississippi River. So I learned like watching the extreme behaviors from depression all the way up to criminally insane, and even some of the people who have been lobotomized at the time. So, so that was really my background. But all those symptoms he talks about, like they really touch home. Matter of fact, I read that same list, and as he was saying it, my ears were ringing so loud last night when I actually looked at that list. And I was like, it was like that moment. But yeah, I think that list pretty much touches everybody. Yeah, but the other thing is like I was watching a documentary. It was the Kanye West documentary. Like, and I was telling people, like, that's my background. Like, that's what I did. That was my passion. And so when I went to go watch that documentary, and I always told people, I don't think he's bipolar. I say he might be schizophrenic, but I don't think he's bipolar. So I'm watching this documentary, and all of his symptoms that he was talking about, the first thing he talked about was the meds, how the meds made him feel it didn't work. And
you're talking about Kanye West.
Kanye West, yes. Yeah. So I tried them. They gave me the same meds. When I had just kind of given up, I said, let me try something. I can't sit here and fester like this. So I let the doctor prescribe me a Zoloft, and it made things 50 times worse. And so those pills are made for healthy brains. So if you've been misdiagnosed, which it didn't make sense to me because Kanye was a rapper. He wasn't a sports player. But then I remembered his song. He had a song that said he had a car accident and his jaw was in the back of his mouth. And so that means he had a concussion. There's no way he didn't have a concussion. And during that time period, they didn't treat concussions because his outburst. I said, that's got to be brain related. That is not. He looks like CTE, walking poster child. And so I got home and I calculated that when I had my first concussion and when my symptoms kicked in. And then I looked at his. First of all, another red flag that jumped out at me, he was diagnosed bipolar at 40. That's a no-no. Bipolar, you're going to get that between 18 and 21. You're not going to get to 22, 23, 24, 20. Maybe, just maybe that could happen, but never 40. So I believe that concussion is what's causing him these issues because he's been misdiagnosed. That's what I personally think. And it's very simple. I know his family, they have the chamber. They got to just get in that chamber. Give that chamber for a month, see what happens.
See, so I know we could do a lot of different things with misdiagnosis, so we're not going to be able to tackle it all in the next 5 to 7 minutes. But if Jennifer, when we talk about misdiagnosis in its general nature right now, give me a description of what we're looking to do, mention tonight, and then obviously we'll talk about it on a later episode.
Yeah, I mean, if any of those symptoms, if you recognize any of those symptoms, or if you're diagnosed with something and the medications are not working, if you're frustrated and you're thinking, anxiety medicine is at a number one, right? Like if I can take a quarter of a Xanax and be out like a light. Someone with CTE can take 2, 3, 4 Xanax. They might walk around in a fog, but it's not going to take away the anxiety. The medications don't help. So then the person feels even more helpless, even more hopeless, and ends up. And one of the things we didn't talk about are it says ugly thoughts, but suicidal tendencies. That's William talks about. His teammates dying. They weren't dying on their own; they were dying by their own hand. And that's a really important thing to talk about. And you hear, and we'll talk on November 11th about veterans, but because it's important, because people are taking their own lives. They're committing suicide, not just because they're hopeless and feel helpless, but because these symptoms are so bad and they don't want to keep living. This isn't a life. And so knowing that, hey, maybe this diagnosis is wrong and we can get people help a different way. That's what's important.
Great stuff. All right, you know what? We'll go to Candy's takeaways. Go ahead, and then we'll put the GoFundMe page. Just 9:00 p.m. Eastern time. We'll change his gears. It goes with Candy and I, and we go over the sports exchange, where the only tendencies that everybody has to deal with is where all of my topics are going to go in rapid fire. So get ready for a wild, wild night. And the second half of our doubleheader on this sports exchange. This is No Limits, where we have no limits on emotion in this show. But when it comes to no limits later, there's no limits on how loud I'm going to talk, because I'm going to turn it. It looks like boast and lose. And no, I don't plan to sing, because if I do that, there'll be a lot more problems in CTE called hearing problems on this program. All right, Candy, give me some takeaways.
The raw emotion, Will, that you showed at the beginning of the opening of the show makes it really real. Because we can talk about it, but it really brings it home, and how something so simple as reaching out to people, talking about this, how even if we affect one person every show, like, this is worth it. How you talked about Joe Namath and how what he did saved your life. It's inspiring. And then you thanking us for being on this platform and giving you this platform to talk about it. And it's like, it's a no-brainer for me. Like, why wouldn't more people do this? To help you raise money, to help you help others, because that's all you're doing, is you want to help others, that were affected with something that affected you. And it affects a lot of people, I think, way more than we care to admit. Some of it's in sports, but it doesn't have to be in sports. We always think of it as in sports, but like, I think about Scott's fallen. Like, you can fall at home and hit your head, and that, you can get CTE from that, and people don't think about those things. And I think I'm so glad that we're using this platform to bring this information out to people, so that they maybe can recognize things and maybe help one person. And I think, obviously, I'm a Jerry Maguire fan. I liked the movie, but I really liked the beginning of this with Joe Namath and the raw emotion you saw. And I know you were almost embarrassed, I think, but you shouldn't have been, because honestly, that was real. That was raw. That was unscripted. And I loved it. That was my favorite part of all of that we've done so far, because it really showed me how much he impacted you and how it changed your life. And if we could do that for anybody else, I'm thrilled.
And I'll say this much. That's why I did an audible at the line of scrimmage and decided to lead off with Joe Namath, because I kept listening to you, pal, and you kept bringing it up. So we're going to turn this into a segment. hey, listen, I don't have a problem with you demonstrating real emotion, but really, seriously, really, it's a good way to lead off.
So it was your fault. Okay, thanks, man.
Yeah, I take full responsibility for doing an audible at the line of scrimmage and causing you to break down in a good way. But the reality is that Weave Eubank was his coach, and he beat Don Shula, who, to me, with the Baltimore Colts. And we got Joe Namath with the guarantee, and the Joe Namath with his guarantee was he got back to you and helped keep you in a position where I could grill you about this every cotton picking week all here on No Limit.
Yeah.
But don't worry, you're going to get it a little bit later. Oh my God! But you handled it first so good. I let you off easy. Wait, I hit you tonight, boy. Oh goodness!
You got me on that one.
Well, you take that raw emotion you had now. You're going to feel like it was my hard-boiled egg that I blew up in the microwave a week ago. But that's beside the point. That's last week's news. But meanwhile, what a show we had tonight. We appreciate Rob, my co-host Maraska, coming in here. Jennifer's all choked up over my one-liners, so she won't.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Little pretty face of hers to go out there and turn red like an apple, or red like my shirt, or red like your shirt, Candy. Well, she has a different shirt, but check out that GoFundMe page if y'all get a chance, and let's help my partner on the Sports Exchange as well as Mr. Inspirational with the sledding to get going with that. So if we get ready to sit over the Sports Exchange in a few minutes, Candy, go ahead.
Well, Will, explain a little bit about this GoFundMe page, because we just put it up there, but really what's the meat and guts behind it? Like, what do you want to accomplish? What are you looking for to use these funds for?
Well, actually, honestly, I have a chamber right behind me. I've already started. I've started a year and a half ago. The same way you saw me crying, there's people calling me crying the same way to me now, which is, oh man. But I just want to offer the same treatment that was offered to me. And it's so expensive to do it on your own. It costs a lot. Most people won't be able to do it. And I just want to pay it forward. No more to it than that. Offer the same treatment and some extra things that we know that are working better now. And just pay it forward. That's it. There's no hidden agendas. I hope that you come and follow us, because the thing that people miss with my story, they talk about the dementia. I mean, all the weird stuff, but I was in dementia, guys. And I know we have parents and grandparents. And once I came out of it, I don't know how, I was like, it's impossible. But we all have people that are aging. And then when I start talking to people later, I found out there's studies on this for Alzheimer's and for dementia. No one told me. And I figured it out for myself, by accident. And so this thing it's going to help a lot of people. And that's just what it is.
This is my weekly ritual where I crack so many one-liners at poor Jen. She has to go off camera because she can't stop laughing if it's from the hard-boiled egg. She has to go off. And I knew I'd lose her one first show because I'm going to say something crazy that she's going to turn into a red apple, be blushing. I don't know if you have freckles or not, and whether you have tears down your eyes. That isn't raw emotion. I don't know what they call that. That's just
you just taught
emotion
me.
there. I know, Jen. Jen, you're on the program. You have raw emotion. We're tough to deal with Joe Namath. She's got real emotion because she's dealing with a cotton-picking clown on the other end of this program. But that's what makes it real, people. This is a serious subject. I realize that. But that doesn't prevent me from cracking one-liners, because in the eyes of my legendary father-in-law, Fred Epling, kettle corn, you got to keep it real. And that's what we're doing with Fred Epling. He's not only resting in peace, he's laughing in peace as well, watching me go crazy about this subject. And Jennifer's out there turning into a red apple every single week. And that's why she has her annual I have to get off camera. That's why she's going to laugh, but don't get off camera because we got to get off in a minute.
I don't know why this happens to me.
Oh, Jen, you're incredible. That's why I like working with you.
Yes, thank you so much for doing what you do, Scott, and you too, Candy. And Jennifer, thank you guys so much.
So
thank you.
Nothing worse than feel like you're on your own with this. And
So William, this GoFundMe. So you're trying to raise money to get more machines. Where are you located?
I'm in Los Angeles, but I have places in the Midwest. We're doing in St. Louis. It's the middle of the country. I can afford the real estate there. I'm gonna donate that in myself, and we just got to get the money for the equipment. And I need help with the build out too. So I got a big building waiting on us right now. I just got to raise the funds to get the equipment.
And at some point, you said you want to eventually get to the point where you can give vouchers out to people with some of this money after you've taken care of. Because I just want everybody to realize that and know, like, so if you don't live in the Midwest, you can still, donate and eventually.
Yeah, he wants to fly people in, so he wants to cover travel, room, board, everything, so that someone who's hurting can travel in to his center, stay for 30 straight days, do 2 treatments a day if they need to, 3 treatments a day if they need to, but get proper care for 30 straight days, longer if they need it. But
the average treatment is 30 days for this thing. So
okay. I think it's just important so that when people when they know that they're donating, what all it covers and what you want to cover to help people.
Right. A medical grade chamber starts around, I mean, there's some for 70,000, but they're really 100, 150, 250,000. It's no joke of a machine, and it's no joke of a price. And you're battling CTE, you're probably not working, you're probably not taking in a whole bunch of money. So then when they say the treatment is available to you, but you can't afford it, it's not available to you. So William wants to remove that burden of cost and say, no, we from the grace of people, the public, making donations through his GoFundMe, he's now able to purchase a medical grade hyperbaric oxygen chamber. They have them where there's 6 people can go in a chamber now. So if we can get one of those and you can treat 6 people at a time, you have, you could run it 12 hours a day. They're made for that. So you can run it 12 hours a day. How many people you could help over and over and over again. Just amplify the quality of life, give them back their quality of life, from on the ground to speaking on podcasts to encouraging everybody else. Like, he's got cognition. You can hear him. He's an excellent speaker, And
it's simple. It's very simple stuff, guys. Like I have a soft chamber back here. Not a lot of people to come use it, but I can't send too many people because it's not designed for that type of wear and tear. And if it goes bad, then I'm going to go bad. And so we need the metal ones, the big ones that's going to, extend the wear and tear. And it's just so simple stuff. It's very simple.
And there are different grades. There's the ATA, and I forget what that stands for, but it's how much compression or how small it can compress the actual molecule. So medical grade chambers start at 2.0, 2.0 ATA, and it goes up from there. But that at 2.0 ATA, it shrinks the large oxygen molecule all the way down to a tiny oxygen molecule equivalent to 33 feet underwater. So you'll hear HBOT, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, people who do dives. We call it a dive, which is the same as a scuba dive, right? I've done 60 dives in an HBOT chamber.
Yeah. I'm probably about 300 dives in myself. I'm more than 500 hours in.
Well, let me tell you, everybody that's watching and listening throughout our platforms, if you think you're going to get it overnight, you're not. That's why we're doing this show repetitiously so you get it. So don't be discouraged. All of us are learning every day, and we hope you can learn along with us as well. That does it for this edition of No Limits. So with that said, we have the Sports Exchange at the top of the hour. The GoFundMe information is on our screen right now. But we'll be back. We'll let everybody know when we're going to be up. I think we will be off, next week? Is that correct, Jennifer?
But we're off next week, correct.
Right, and then we'll return the following week, I believe. So in about 2 weeks from now, we'll have another set of topics, and we'll come up with some new information to educate you. We appreciate the loyalty, and not only bringing awareness to CTE, Will, Jennifer, Candy, and of course myself. Will and I are the specimens in this whole deal, but nevertheless, I guess specimens, I don't even know what you call it. I've heard a whole lot worse than that, but specimen, I never thought I'd call myself a specimen on the live broadcast. Nevertheless, it is. Again, I got Jennifer laughing for the second time in the last 10 minutes. Look at her. I know how to get her. Wait till we get to see her in person, how bad that sense of humor is going to be when I get this coach down. Oh, no, in the eyes of Keith Jackson. Everybody knows who he is out those parts of the country. But that's that. Sports Exchange, top of the hour. And last thing as we go, William and Jen, how do you want everybody to get a hold of you?
What, Jen?
No, it's one man with a chamber is William's social media.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, one
Follow
man
him.
with a chamber.
Comment one man with a chamber. Yeah. Follow him, comment, reach out, DM. He's got answers for you. You guys can talk. He can help you. He's amazing. So at one man with a chamber, and then if you can donate even $50, $100, whatever you can give, $25, $125, $1,025, every little bit is going to add up to saving more lives from this condition.
Yeah,
There you go. Well, that puts a ribbon on this, button on it, whatever you call it, an I, a dot on top of an I, a T, a cross on top of T, whatever. That does it for this edition.
And it will be open to the public.
But I'll tell you what.
And we will be open to the public. It's open for the public. This is not for a select group. This is a public.
And we're going to be open to the public in about 29 minutes on the Sports Exchange on the Motor City Mad Mouth keeps on busting loose on more off the wall stuff. So that does it. 2 weeks from now, we'll be at it again. The fearsome foursome. That does it. So meanwhile, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll answer any comments on YouTube that we get. More than happy. And if you also want to reach Jennifer and William, you can reach us through southfloridatribune@gmail.com as well, and we'll be more than happy to forward your questions to them as well. So meanwhile, Candy, thanks again as my co-host. Jennifer, is always great to work with you, and I'm glad I get the annual 2 or 3 laughs and the one pop-off camera per show, which is good because everybody knows why you're doing it. And William, emotion or no emotion, I can guarantee in about 30 minutes, your emotion will be a whole lot different than it was around 54 minutes ago. Let me tell you, that won't be raw emotion. That's going to be raw. Oh, my God, this guy's crazy. All right, that does it. We're finished tonight. See you in 2 weeks on No Limits and talking about CET with Jen and William. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.